Christopher Bishop.
Thank you very much, Mr Speaker. Sir, this is an important bill. It seeks to improve compliance with current land sales rules and the Income Tax Act by supplementing the intention test that we all know exists, as Grant Robertson points out, with an objective bright line land sales test. And this will require income tax to be paid on any gains from the sale of residential property within 2 years of purchase, with some exceptions, the main one of course being, sir, a person's main home. Sir, in my short contribution to the House tonight, I just want to run through some points in rebuttal to what we've heard from members opposite. The first was the point made by Dr Clark, which was repeated by Grant Robertson, that this bill is all about appearances. It's not actually about doing anything about housing affordability. And sir, we reject that on this side of the House. This is a serious proposal that supplements the test that's already in tax law, that's already in the law. It doesn't go so far as to introduce a comprehensive capital gain tax, sir, but it is a serious proposal that will make a difference, sir, to New Zealand. The more laughable claim that we heard from members opposite was that Labour Party policy is clear on this, because members opposite have been very careful to dance around any commitment to introducing what was their policy at the 2014 election and what was their policy at the 2011 election, which was a comprehensive capital gains tax. So who knows what Labour Party policy is on this? It's certainly not, as Dr Clark said, very clear, because they know that that policy was put to the electorate in 2011 and 14 and rejected comprehensively every time. In fact, the current leader of the Labour Party won the leadership by promising to not introduce a comprehensive capital gains tax as Labour Party policy. So who knows where the Labour Party stands on this issue. Sir, the second assertion made by Dr Clark that is wrong, and it was repeated by Mr Robertson as well, I think, is that there are loopholes there are loopholes in this piece of legislation and in the companion piece of legislation, which is the bill that we were just considering, which is the bill. This is the Bright Line Test bill, and sir, the name escapes me for the previous bill. It was the Land Information Bill. Thank you very much,
and Offshore
Mr.
Persons
Scott.
Information.
Offshore Persons Information Bill. That's the companion piece of legislation. The assertion was made that there are loopholes in this because both pieces of legislation don't require all New Zealanders to supply IRD numbers when they transact property. And sir, in the previous debate on the last bill, I pointed out the very clear reasons for this, which is that there is an exception in both pieces of legislation for a person's main home. So it's the view of the government, sir, that it would be needlessly bureaucratic to ask New Zealanders to supply their IRD information to the IRD and land information in New Zealand when they're going to be exempt from the legislation. So the people who are not exempt from the legislation have to supply the information, but people who are not should not, sir. That seems fairly logical. Then we hear, sir, that this bill and the companion piece of legislation is all about, in the words of the opposition, preserving entrenched interests. And actually, Mr Twyford, right at the very tail end of his speech, almost went so far as to impute all sorts of nefarious allegations, sir, as to the motives for this side of the House. And we reject those, sir. Sir, this is a government that in Budget 2010 cracked down on investment property and has put millions of dollars into the enforcing current tax law with significant payoffs, sir, and Budget 2014, sir, puts more money into cracking down on current tax law. Finally, sir, and just briefly to close off my contribution, we hear the assertion from members opposite that this is a government that has done nothing about housing affordability. Sir, that is absolutely incorrect. If you look at what we're doing in Auckland with special housing areas and the improvement in building consent rates that you hear at the moment, if you look at the Home Start scheme, sir, that the government has introduced that I know is very popular in the Hutt Valley, sir, if you look at what we're doing in developing Crown-owned land, and here we go, and Phil Twyford, who spends most of his time rampaging around Auckland demonising Chinese migrants to New Zealand, will soon stand up and give a typically incoherent contribution to the debate that is mainly more about personal point scoring and demonising a particular ethnic minority more than any useful contribution, sir.
Order. I'm now going to ask the member to come back to the bill.
Sir,
he did mention it earlier.
Sir, I will just close by saying this bill is part of a suite of measures that the government is taking to improving housing affordability, and sir, I commend the bill to the House.
Julianne Genter.
Thank you, Mr Speaker. The Green Party's overall objective is to create and build